Welcome to episode 366 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Vision Pro, Mac, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I've got Jill McKinley back on the show. How you doing, Jill?
Doing great. It's officially summer, so how could you not love it?
Summer, and it's nice and steamy hot here in the Midwest. So great. So glad you're here. Also glad he's here is Guy Searle. How you doing, Guy?
Hey, Dave. It's nice to be here.
Yes, I always love having you here, and glad you're here today. Also here is Marty Jencius. How you doing, Marty?
Okay. Can't complain. My wife forced me to go on a walk with the dog, and I came back and then had to strip down completely naked and stand in front of the air conditioner. So,
I'm sorry, didn't you just say you can't complain?
I don't know. This sounds pretty exciting.
All right, moving on.
no shrinkage. That's what I said.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Eric Bolden, so glad you're here. How you doing? How's it going?
Great. Enjoying my roses. They're all starting to bloom.
Yes.
They like this
Got the
humidity.
nice roses.
Yeah.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, he's back. We've missed him so much on here, on this show. Jeff Gamet. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well, and I'm super happy to be back.
Yes.
As they say, holy forking shirt balls. What a crazy 7 months.
Yes. I can feel your pain. We both went through it all, but
Yes.
That's another story. But yeah, we've got plenty of stuff here to look to talk about this week. In touch with Vision Pro, this beta, and got some news stories and such. But before we get started, I really wanted to mention one thing. We lost a really amazing guy from the Apple community this past week, Tim Robertson, who headed the mymac.com. I met him in 2015, the very first Macstock. He was such a wonderful guy to hang out with, and he was so nice to me and welcoming when I was starting out in podcasting. I got to be on a show a number of times, and he's really just absolutely amazing guy. He's really going to be missed, and he left us this past week. But Guy Searle, you've known him for forever, for a long time, and I want to just let everybody know how you're doing. I know that hits pretty hard, and give us a little more about Tim.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of months. This hit really suddenly. I think it was like mid-May, when Tim first started complaining about having a few health issues, and a month and a half later, he was gone. I got a call from his wife Julie Sunday, and I had planned on going out to see him once my job situation was settled, which was going to be next Friday. But after talking to her, I realized that there wasn't going to be time. So I booked a couple of quick flights, got there Sunday early evening, and spent a little time on Sunday and Monday with him. And then Tuesday morning, I got a call from Julie basically saying it's looking like this is going to be it. So
yeah.
By the time I got there, Tim and of course his wife Julie, his father and stepmother, 3 of his kids. I think and I'm sorry, I can't quite remember. It was either Rachel or Brittany, with the other one still on their way.
Yeah,
along with Cole and Felix were all there. And when I got there, it was, I'm going to guess, about 10 o'clock. And when I saw everybody that was in the room, I greeted everyone that was there, said a few short words to Tim, and then I left. It was a time for immediate family, and
sure.
I loved him like a brother, but I'm not immediate family. So I got out to make room for everyone else. And I hadn't even gotten back to my hotel because he was in a hospital in Kalamazoo, and I was driving back to Battle Creek. And even before I got back to the hotel, I got a text from Cole saying that Tim had passed.
Yeah.
And I so wish that I had gone sooner, but there was no way that I could. And
Sure, I understand.
Besides the obvious loss to Julie and all of the kids and the rest of the Robertson family,
Yeah.
the MyMac family, which is quite large all on its own, has been going through a grieving process as well.
Yeah.
Cole has all of the passwords for everything related to the website. What this means for the site and especially for the mymac.com podcast, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Gaz and I will continue. I don't know if it will be the MyMac podcast. We haven't really done anything together ever since this whole thing started.
Sure.
And it's been rough to get through this. Not, of course, as rough as it's been for Julie and the kids, but for everyone who knew Tim, even peripherally,
Yeah.
We're all feeling a great loss.
Yep. We are. So I mean, he was a huge member of the Apple community. Just an all around nice guy. Always was friendly. Always nice to me, nice to everybody. Everybody else says nothing but great things, and we're going to all miss him very much. And
one of the first Mac websites, independent Mac websites.
Yeah, 1995 it was. I think it started, right?
Yeah. Well, it started off as an online magazine,
right,
and it grew into a website. He was also one of the first independent Mac podcasters, and there are several others who can claim that crown, but Tim started it in 2004, and that makes him a pioneer, and he ran with it, and was not only the creator of the MyMac podcast, he also created Tech Fan, Geekiest Show Ever, Geeks Pub. That he was doing Tech Fan and Geeks Pub with David Cohen, and we'll see where everything goes from here.
Sure.
I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought myself.
No, right now we have to just keep his family in our thoughts, and
yes. And there's a GoFundMe, and I will find it, and
I'll put that link in the show notes. I saw that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that, because there's a lot of people listening here that were who knew Tim and listened to a lot of the MyMac content. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on. Hey, let's go and talk about the Vision Pro. So first story here is Apple is suing a former Vision Pro employee for allegedly stealing thousands of documents before joining Snap. Apple's accused this former engineer for his Vision Pro headset computer, of stealing company trade secrets before starting a new job at Snap. It's in the lawsuit that was filed this past week, and it accuses D. Liu, a senior design engineer, of downloading thousands of documents in his final days in the Cupertino company last year and saving them to his personal cloud accounts. This lawsuit is another a latest example of Apple's publicly going after a former employee for leaking information, and they allege that when he resigned late last year, when he was heading to Snap, a competitor and maker of smart glasses, as a result, they did not shut off his access to his accounts and allowed him to have a customary 2-week transition period. That was a mistake. But we're still the review of his Apple issued work laptop showed that while maintaining access to Apple's proprietary information under false pretenses, he used his Apple credentials to exfiltrate thousands of documents contrary to the proprietary information. So this is going to be an interesting lawsuit here. I'd like to see where this goes, because that kind of stinks. Someone shouldn't be doing that, especially you sign basically a contract with a company,
NDA.
Anybody who works. I work for my company. I have to be careful. I'm not sharing any information. So doing something like that is just really bad. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that he has screwed himself in the tech industry for the rest of his life.
I think so too.
He made a very, very poor life choice here, and yeah, he's not going to be working for Snap much longer if he still is.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
And he's going to get hammered very hard when this goes to court. He really screwed up bad.
I think so too. What about you, Marty? What do you think on this?
Well, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here. Snap has already started using some of the material and there was a related story, I don't know if you saw it, that Snap has made a decision to increase the price of its AR glasses from $1,200 to $3,500. So they're already using proprietary
apparently
information. Yeah.
I mean, Apple might be going after them not too long from now.
Yeah.
So Eric, any other thoughts on this?
I would not want to be him.
Me either.
No, it was such a stupid move. I mean, it's like you're going to one of Apple's competitors. You don't think they're going to check the logs on the laptop that you're responsible for information that you probably would have, or that you did allegedly download and possibly give to another company. It's going to be up to him to prove that he didn't give this information to another company. Downloading it while he was working for Apple is certainly shady, but I don't know what the legality of that would be. But giving that information to another party would be illegal.
I would think Apple's going to rethink this going forward for any employee that leaves and is going to work for a competitor. So most companies these days, once you say you're going to a competitor, they say, "See you later," and then they cut you off.
That was part of the problem.
They didn't give. Yeah.
He didn't
give any indication that he was, and they didn't think he was going to work someplace else.
See,
So if you're not obligated to tell your current employer where you're going to work. However, if you're going to work for a competitor, ethically speaking, you should let your current employer know, and then they're going to handle your exit phase differently, and rightly so. Like if I was in that situation and I said, "Hey, Tim Apple, I'm going to go work at Snap," I would expect and be shocked if they didn't say, "Okay, well, thank you for letting us know. We have to escort you off the property now, and you're not working for us anymore. And we will have our security people meet you at the door with your belongings from your desk, and hand us your key card now."
And everything else.
And if they did anything else, I would be shocked.
Well, if they should. Go ahead, Jill.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, the thing of it is that the government was looking at non-competes. I worked for a company here that makes everyone sign a 2-year non-compete. And they're saying it's not fair to the employee to say, I become an expert in health IT, and now you say the one thing I can't do is health IT. So it's unfair, but then people do this, and that's why they make you sign these non-competes. And so it's really disturbing.
Well, yeah, I was surprised, considering the projects he was working on. His contract didn't appear to have a non-compete in it.
Yeah,
we don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe it did. He violated that too.
Well, and there's a difference between downloading documents to a corporate laptop and then taking and either renaming or moving those folders of documents to a personal iCloud account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he had just left it on the laptop and it hadn't gone anywhere, there's an issue, but it's maybe defensible. Yeah. Moving it so that it would still exist after he turned in his laptop, that's a problem.
I mean, just on the face of it, he made every stupid move that you could possibly make for sharing documents like this.
Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Next discussion here on the Vision Pro is a space app. It's called, you're going to fly around the vast Haven 1 space station using the Apple Vision Pro. VAST is working on what might just be the first commercial space station in low Earth orbit. To get the public excited about the station's launch as soon as 1 year from now, the company has released a VR fly-through led by VAST's lead astronaut that is available on Meta, Steam, and yes, Apple's platforms. Called Haven 1, the small space station is capable of being launched on SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket, the most economical medium lift rocket on the market. VAST has also partnered with SpaceX to launch its crew for a 2-week-long mission, and crew's Dragon spacecraft to provide Starlink connection to the station for data relay and internet connections. So, and Marty, have you tried this on the Vision Pro? I have not had a chance to do this yet.
I saw the show notes and I'm like, I better do this because it's going to be in there. So I had a quick dinner of tacos. Thank you. And then
he's dedicated.
got into the space thing, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. But I've got, it said this is a seated experience. So of course I was sitting, and that was fine. But there's a lot of upsy downsy floating around where you're not getting the kinesthetic feel of that motion. And I had to take it off. I mean, I had to take the headset off because it's very cool. I mean, the pieces that I saw were very cool, interactive. It's like, okay, press this button and then something comes out and you take out some hydrating solution, or a water bottle to be able to take. And it is very cool. But I had to stop midway, and that's just my vertigo.
You missed
just like the real thing.
Best part.
Okay.
So you get off the ship and you move into the space station, and then they give you sustenance so that you can make it through the rest of the demo. And then you kind of pull yourself along, and it's the usual space station simulation, all realistic, like you're there. Basically, it's a Star Trek holodeck. Well done. You get to a part where you get to look at the science experiments. I notice they never let you really play with the stuff. Like, you can pull stuff out you're not supposed to, and then they say, hey, you got to go to the next station. It's like being in one of those speed dating things where each section is really interesting. Yeah. And then I got to the highlight of the tour. And they say, oh, it's great. The last thing before you're all done, take a look at the view of the Earth. We're just going over the section. It was really cool. Except, and this is where I wanted to take my headset off. But I needed the protection. You look out, and it's a really neat view. But if you happen to lean forward, you can press your eye up against the glass, and then you can fall through, and your head is sticking out of the space station, looking back at the side of the station. You get this really wide view of Earth. It is awesome, but you realize your head is in space.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That was a little disconcerting.
Yeah,
well worth doing, but yeah.
So I'm blowing chunks at zero gravity at that point.
Are these the people that are up there to take the plastic off the furniture?
Yeah. So definitely, if you try it, stick your head out and then get a closer look at the Earth and look right and left at the outside of the ship.
I'll take some Dramamine. I'll take some Dramamine and give it another shot.
I have to still try it. Let's see what happens. How I survive. We'll see. So check that out. The link's in the show notes here.
I'll try it on Meta too. That's all I got. But
yeah, so you have Meta. Yeah, see if how it is on there. Let us know, Jill, as well. I'm going through a lot of stuff with, we're going to talk about Macstock a little later. We're a week away from Macstock as we record this, so it's some exciting times coming up here. But part of my presentation is going to be on screen capturing and sharing your screen. One of the awesome apps, and I've been using it for quite a while, ever since it came out, is called Bezel, Bezel. And it's an app that you can mirror any iPhone on your or iPad on your Mac. And all you have to do is you plug it in with the USB-C cable on your iPhone, and it mirrors it perfectly, and it works really well. there was always some wireless ones that worked. I usually used the Reflector was in one of them, and then they stopped developing that one. So, but this one is great because it's got it actually brings the frame built in to the iPhone, so you're seeing whatever color iPhone you have. It knows what iPhone you have as soon as you plug it in, and it has a connector at the top where you can actually do a recording with it, and you can record it. And you don't have to do a screen recording by alternate methods. It's built right in to the app. So I've been using it for quite a while, and I think I've done a lot of demos with the iPhone demos on it for sure. I can even do a demo with the Apple Watch, so I'm not going to ruin what I'm going to be talking about next week. But that's one of the other things. But what I discovered, I didn't even know it, is the fact that it now has a way to mirror your iPhone on the Vision Pro. And we have a link in the show notes that shows this is on their site. It's called the company's called nondistrict.eu. It's from the Netherlands, so they're a European company and really smart people. And the video shows you bringing up your iPhone up into this up in front of you where you can see it. Then it allows you to actually navigate on your iPhone to connect to it. There is a separate iOS app that you have to install. It works wirelessly, which is amazing. So I'm hoping they do this for the Mac too at some point. But what it does is it actually allows you it sees your Vision Pro, and then you turn the screen recording on. So when you know how you do normal screen recording on an iPhone, and then sure enough, it has the iPhone right in a virtual setting, allowing you to be able to see the iPhone and be able to navigate it. And because it was really hard to be able to do that before, because you can't see it, or you have to put the PIN code in, because it's not going to do Face ID for you. So it's something that was just pretty amazing. I mean, it's got some work to do, but I think for somebody who wants to be able to virtually look at their iPhone and be able to navigate it while you're using your Vision Pro, I thought it was a great idea to have this, and I'm looking forward to what they do next with this. Erica, have you tried it? Did you try it after I mentioned it?
This sounded so cool. Yeah. I have tried twice now. I have yet to be able to get it to connect, which is really too bad. However, since it mentioned it, I thought, well, okay. So I can mirror my iPhone to the Vision Pro. And I'm using the beta now, which could be part of my problem. But I can mirror the phone to the Vision Pro, and you can set the Vision Pro up to authenticate to the phone, so you can unlock the phone while you have the Vision Pro on, which is a nice change. So I can get some of the pieces. So I'll have to go back again. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, worked really well for me. I don't know. Did you happen to try it, Marty?
Yeah, I tried it before I got sick in space after dinner. I did try it, and it took me a couple of trials to get through, and my phone was so iridescent, when I was looking through it with the headset on, that it was telling me to do things to connect with it. And then I realized I was using the glass, kind of the new liquid glass interface, and that made it harder for me to kind of find the button. So I lifted up my Vision Pro and saw what I was supposed to do, put it back down, and then it worked seamlessly.
Huh. That's good. Yeah, so I'm glad you were able to at least experience it. So yeah. I think this is a cool thing to see where this goes. I didn't try an iPad. I don't know if the iPad would work. It may not, because it's an iOS app that has to be installed on the iPhone. So they may only be focusing on the iPhone, not the iPad. You are able to use Bezel when you plug it in on your Mac or the iPad. And the other great thing too with this app for the Vision Pro, you get multiple phones too. If you want to have two phones, I don't know how you're going to do it with two hands and you have them have the Vision Pro on your head there. So, but it does allow that too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with next and how they can expand upon what this does. So, so I got all the links in the show notes here for where to go. So basically, you have to download the iOS app. That's, I think, costs $1. The app on the Vision Pro costs about $5, the one-time charge. And then you can get yourself going with this and check it out. So, all right, let's go on and move on. Talk about beta real quick. iOS and 26 beta 2 continues. So as well as macOS Tahoe all the 26 versions for all the apps. So much else has been come out this week because I didn't really have much to say. There's so many new things, and I'm going to just kind of pace it along here as things get discovered, and we'll cover it in other shows here because I mean I had a long laundry list of things that I found, and I'm like, we could probably spend a whole show just talking about that by itself here. So there's not too much difference of what we've already covered so far, but we'll definitely be going through it as we go here. Apple did release a second beta for iOS 18.6, and that just got seeded, so that probably is going to be coming out here any day now, I would venture to say. There is not much to it. It just has some bug fixes and updates, some additional changes to the App Store in the European Union. Besides that, like I said, smaller changes and bug fixes is pretty much what that is. I don't foresee it getting updated after that until iOS 26 comes out. So we'll see where that goes. So so let's go on to In Touch with Mac this week, and a couple interesting stories that came out this week. Apple's Mac shipments are soaring, and here's why. Apple recorded the highest year-over-year growth among major computer vendors in the United States during the first quarter of 2025. Where Mac shipments increased 28.7%, and the market share has risen from 14.2 to 16.0%. This was, of course, third-party data that was published, so it's not the official numbers of what Apple doesn't share. So it's through Canalys that we always are quoting these guys of what they have as far as they think is good. I have a feeling it is pretty decent. But shipments of desktops and notebooks in the United States have reached 16.9 million units in the first quarter. That's a 15% increase compared to the same period last year. And then Apple has shipped 2.05 million units, up from 2.10 million in the first quarter of 2024. So it's about the highest it's been going here. And are we surprised? I don't think so. I think the fact of this Apple Silicon, the M series processor, has just been a huge hit. I think it's an amazing, fast. Most of us here have the newer models, and the M4 or the M3, and I think this is not surprising at all. I love it. And then I think now we got the M5 probably coming out later this year, and so Apple's going to continue on to make one of the best processors out there. What are your thoughts on this, Jeff?
Okay, so releasing new Macs with new processors is a great way to sell more Macs,
right?
And I'm sure that's playing a role in Apple's product shipment numbers. However, I think the bigger part of this shipment increase isn't so much about, hey, there's all these new processors, we have these great products. It's, hey, we need to get a lot of product inside the United States before we get hammered with tariffs. And what I expect we will see is that even though Apple still sells well, we will see a decline quarter over quarter in their shipment numbers. And yeah, tariffs. I think that's a big part of this.
That is. How about you, Guy? What do you think on this?
I think Jeff is correct. I also think one of the things that's holding Apple back, and it's something that I think we're going to talk about in just a little bit, is the fact that they don't have, and I say this with certain caveats, a true low-cost Macintosh. The M4 Mac Mini is a wonderful desktop, but most people are really buying laptops, and the price of entry for an Apple laptop is like double what you'll spend for a new machine than that you'll spend on an Apple desktop. So if they really, really want to increase market share and get a few more eyes, because remember, the people that are buying Macs today will probably be buying Macs tomorrow. So you get them in with something that, while probably not the fastest machine, will at the same time introduce them to the reasons why the macOS is better than many of the alternatives.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. How about you, Joe? What do you think?
Well, as someone who moved over to Mac not that long ago, I did it because Windows is stagnant. I remember Allison said something last week. Oh, I'm sure there's all sorts of things that, Windows comes out with every time they do a development. And I'm like, no, there's not. It's done. There's nothing. They took 11 years to move the button from the left side to the middle. For the, you know what I mean? And so
That's
my
a
best
slow
friend
migration.
yeah, that's right. So my best friend,
Incremental.
yeah, right. That's right. My best friend now bought my old MacBook Pro. And I'm getting her involved in it. And she was saying, oh, my Windows machine is doing this and it's doing that. And I don't know what to do. And I said, I know what to do. Use your MacBook. All your problems will go away. And I think that other than gaming, there's no reason to stay, and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Marty, what do you think?
I think it's people reading the writing on the wall and realize that they're going to be facing a 20% tariff. Was the latest that I heard. It was 45, and then they dropped it down, but they're bringing it back up to 20%. And I think they know prices are going to go up on this, and it's already an expensive device. So get the good device now. And so you might be seeing a lot of Christmas presents being bought right now, this early, in order to try and avoid the problem with product flow and also tariffs in terms of that. So I'm glad it's happening. I'd like to agree with Guy, but there's a little bit part of me that says I'm not sure Apple wants the mid-range laptop market. I think they're okay with seceding that to PCs and they have an iPad, So I mean, to that degree, iPads are getting pretty expensive too. But they have an iPad in terms of the entry drug.
We'll talk about the low end in just a minute.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So,
Eric, why don't you wrap this up?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of not quite panic buying because there's reason behind it. But yeah, buying just so you have it and you've got some predictability of costs, which means everything is going to be unpredictable later.
Yep. No, I agree with that. Next topic here on the Mac is be aware of this high-tech Mac malware that hides itself as in a fake Zoom update. Users of blockchain tech and crypto are the primary targets. Sentinel Labs has posted a report about a new malware that targets Mac users of blockchain technologies such as crypto. The threat agents behind the attack are based in North Korea. Surprise. According to this research, attack involves executing scripts written with Apple Script C and C++ and NIM. Targeted users are sent a meeting invitation via Calendly, a cloud-based Calendly. Yes, I get tongue-tied there. That's a cloud-based B2B scheduling service. The contact is made over Telegram as an attacker impersonates a trusted contact of the target. The invitation includes what appears to be a link to a Zoom SDK update script, but actually it's a link to download and install the malware. Once it's installed, the malware collects general system data, browser data, and Telegram chat histories. It collects user data such as login information of the Mac, the version of the Mac OS that's being used, and passwords, and Mac OS's keychain. It also has been targeting all the browsers with Arc, Brave, Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge. Safari was not listed. So maybe that's another reason why you should use Safari, right? And we know what to do. You got to protect yourself from malwares. Be careful what you're clicking. Being protected. Don't go to places like GitHub if you're not comfortable with that, because people would like to get those third party developer type applications and don't see this too often on a Mac, but this was kind of a little alarming. But what do you think on this, Jill?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you get one of these big spoofing types of things, it gets a number of people who click on things, and we just got to keep reinforcing the message: don't click on things.
Yeah.
Go to the source. Yeah.
Yep. Same thought, Guy?
Yeah. And this is what most Mac users have been saying for a very, very long time. You cannot trust outside sources to update your software. If you are unsure, regardless of who sends you some stupid link, don't click on it. Don't update your software from anything other than official sources or known good sources. And for the most part, as a Mac user, you'll be fine. Just use a little common sense, just a little, and you'll be
Just
fine.
a little. I'd agree with that. Wouldn't you agree with that, Jeff?
I would. The way I've described the practice to people is treat it like sex.
Okay.
Don't do it with someone you don't trust and don't know. And guys, like, this is why I show up every week, just to hear Jeff say stuff like that. So,
I'm biting my tongue right now. It's like,
Yeah.
practice safe sex, practice safe software.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wear a condom. You update your software.
You can't. You can't say anything better than that. Take us out of here, Eric.
I'm not touching that.
How about, all right, Marty, I'll let you wrap it.
That's part of the problem.
And if it's
He's not touching it.
That's the
And
problem.
if it's like sex, it's over in 30 seconds anyway. So don't.
All right. I know where to go
Don't worry
now.
Okay.
Let's talk about the story of this has been a rumor here, but the thoughts of a possible low-end MacBook powered by the A18 Pro chip. It's being cheat code. He always is back in his reports that his track record isn't the greatest. But this seems kind of interesting to seeing the potential that a new MacBook Apple could apparently be working out behind the scenes. It's expected to go into mass production in the fourth quarter of 2025 or early 26, and approximately a 13-inch display powered by an A18 Pro processor. Potentially, casing colors could be silver, blue, pink, and yellow. And Apple's aims to return total MacBook shipments to the COVID-19 peak of around 25 million units in 26. So I think a lot of us think, well, why would Apple do this? I don't know if, like you said, Apple has always stood their ground. They charge for their laptops for a reason, like what they charge. I mean, the MacBook Air is probably one of the most reasonably priced laptops out there, I think, for what it's offered.
$999.
Yeah, you start $999 on a base model MacBook Air, and you can't beat that at all. So
you could if it has an A18 Pro.
If it's an A18.
If they could get a laptop down to the $699 level, even if it was, I don't want to say crippled because the A18 Pro is a good chip. It would be slower. It's not the kind of machine that you would be wanting to use for video editing or things along that lines. But as a general use computer, still running the Mac OS, it would be fabulous. The only thing that could possibly happen that would make it not great is that it may actually, if true, cannibalize sales from iPads. And they just released not release, but it's developer release of iPad OS 26, which makes your iPad as Mac-like as it's ever been.
Ever, yeah. How about you, Jeff? Do you think this would be a possibility?
No, just nope. Okay. This product that Ming Chico is talking about doesn't fit with Apple's design strategy and philosophy. To get a product down to that price point, that guy's talking about, you don't really need an A18 processor. You just need to wait another year or so where the M1 or M2 is at a low enough production price point that you just pop that in there. Apple doesn't want to use low-end components in their products. That is not the Apple way. And I think the only way you could get the product price point down into that range Guy is talking about is to sacrifice display quality, because that's basically the single most expensive component in a laptop.
Right.
And Apple is not going to sacrifice the display quality in even their lowest end laptop. I mean, look at their price points today, and what you can. I won't call it lowest end laptop, but their lowest price laptops, they still have really good displays. So Apple's not going to be able to skimp on that part. They're not going to go for that low end market. We have seen Apple executives at various points over the years say they're not interested in that market anyhow. They're leaving that to the PC makers. They can fight over the scraps, if you will.
Okay. Marty, Eric?
Yeah, my thinking about this is, we have Chromebooks. If we even want to go to a lower price point for people who want computing, the problem with putting like an A18 chip in it is we know we're not going to do video editing on it, but that doesn't mean the consumer knows they shouldn't do that, and that there are limits to their machine as a result of it. So as soon as somebody starts trying to do that and they're not successful, that model of the laptop gets bad press, because it's not doing what the consumer wants it to do. Even though it's not capable of doing it, the consumer is not happy with it. And that's where I think this is just a mess Apple doesn't want to get into.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Eric?
I'm not as unwilling to consider it a possibility. I think it will depend partly on what happens with tariffs and the economy, and it would not at all surprise me that something like this exists and has been in testing for a while. But whether they ship it or not, I think will depend on what happens with tariffs and the economy. There may be an economic reason to have to ship something that is using different components. The other question I would have is, can any of the components be produced in a new location? And that might have an effect. I mean, for years, people have been saying, why can't we put macOS on an iPad? That's not going to happen, because that would just destroy the iPad. But if you could take an iPad and slap a new name on it and a built-in keyboard, and then say, well, here's a MacBook, or for all the people that say, well, can you bring back the 12-inch MacBook? Because I just need to send email, use a browser, and even video editing. I mean, on a phone, you can do a little video editing to upload to either YouTube or whatever. A lot of people, it's 3-minute, 4-minute, 2-minute videos. They're not doing feature-length videos. They're just trying to add titles onto something, and most of the time it's on a phone, but you give them something a little bit bigger. And even on the corporate world, there's a whole lot now of saying, well, you just need a laptop to connect to the corporate systems. You fire up a browser, and then you get a virtual PC or a virtual Linux box, and it's all running on remote systems, and the files never leave that remote system. All you need is a keyboard and a display, and you maybe can't quite get all of that to work exactly with an iPad, but something like this, yeah, that could work. Or maybe even in a school district, you could get it to work. So I think it's a good idea. The conditions have to be right. And I don't know if that will ever happen.
Yep. Jill,
okay, Eric, everything you just said, spot on. The problem that I see with it is meeting the price point Guy would like to have. Apple's not going to do it. So if they release this product, it will be at a higher price point than Guy and many pundits would like to see it at.
What about the Walmart MacBook Air?
The M1, yeah.
Yeah, why not just keep the Walmart MacBook Air around?
Is this cheaper?
Yeah, it was $699. Sometimes less.
Let's see, Walmart Mac.
Yeah. I was kind of that opinion too. You want schools, you want people like my mom who just need something to browse the internet with. I have a lot of friends who aren't into computers and all they need is something to browse the internet with, connect. When I worked at that company that made me sign the NDA, they were talking about giving all the implementation people just web computers. They weren't there yet, to just log into the website and do its work because that's all they needed. And I could see places where this would fit in if they could get the price point down. And you don't need miraculous video on it. Corporate software, high school stuff doesn't have to look as good as it does on a MacBook.
Doesn't. No.
So, all right, you can buy a 13-inch MacBook Air with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage from Walmart right now, $649.
Mm-hmm.
Refurbished. They're selling refurbished computers.
Right.
Yeah, you need it to be for this to compete with the Chromebooks and the...
Mm-hmm. Apple doesn't want to compete with Chromebooks.
They don't.
No, but I'm talking like schools and, there's other places where you kind of throw people in the Windows trash and saying, oh, that's for low-end Windows people. But, I mean, there are places, and those low-end Windows people would probably like a secure device too, that, but it has to be 4.5.
But I think there are a lot of places where the Chromebook doesn't quite cut it. It's not quite enough.
Right.
Or you buy it and it doesn't last long enough to make up for its cost.
Right.
If you need a 3 or 4 year lifespan, a Chromebook's not going to do it. So it comes down to cost per year and not necessarily cost of the device. So even if it's more expensive, it might work. And what's the battery life going to be like?
Yeah.
If you can squeak out a little bit more time, then maybe.
I don't think consumers think that sophisticatedly about.
They don't.
It's the computer that's in front of me right now. It's not the computer that I'm going to have 3 years from now.
Right.
But they think that way on the corporate side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's always about a 3 year span.
And the school side, and whatever people are using in school and whatever they're using at work, they consider using at home.
They're using Chromebooks in schools.
Mostly.
They're using Chromebooks in schools.
Yeah.
Apple could have made a $400 laptop years ago.
Sure.
They don't want to.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on off of this. And let's talk a little bit about Apple is considering letting Anthropic, excuse me. I have tongue tied today.
I've got your back and your tongue today.
I appreciate that. Or OpenAI to power Siri in a major reversal. Apple is considering this. Mark Gurman is giving us some insights on this. Is considering using the artificial intelligence technology for anthropic PBC or OpenAI to power a new version of Siri, sidelining its own in-house models in a potential blockbuster move aiming at turning around its flailing AI effort. Apple has talked to both companies about using their large language models for Siri, according to the people familiar with these discussions, and asked them to train versions of their models that could run on Apple's cloud infrastructure for testing. Of course, they don't want to be identified because it's not supposed to be out in the public. If this happens, this is going to be a huge ultimately reversal, because if they move forward, it'll be represent that the company is currently powering most of its AI features with homegrown technology that it calls Apple Foundation models, and has been planning a new version of the voice assistant that it runs on the technology for 2026. But if it makes a switch to Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT models, Siri would be an acknowledgement that the company is struggling to compete in the generative AI realm here, and its most important newer technologies for decades. Apple already allows ChatGPT to answer most of the web-based queries that Siri does, but the assistant itself is powered by Apple. So again, we can go on and on about this. We know that Apple's been struggling with AI for a while. It was quite a bit of a blunder, and then when they finally at least were open about it during WWDC keynote. So Jeff, what do you think of this?
We have two things going on here. Apple has not been struggling in AI. They have been struggling in being successful in the new AI hype cycle. And I think that's actually been a tactical error on Apple's part. They shouldn't have even been focusing on that, because the AI things Apple has been doing for years now have been great. The problem is, how do you get the average user excited about all of this stuff that happens under the hood that just makes the overall experience better, but it's not making cow in a spacesuit pictures for them, or writing their school report, or whatever it is that people are hyping with these LLM models. Now, where Apple has fallen flat, it's on their S-Lady product. They squandered a lead that they had. They were years ahead of everyone else, and just for lack of a better word, they pissed it away. And so now they do need to really step that up, especially with what we're seeing with coming out, even with the A-Lady, a product that is secondary to, or tertiary to, what Amazon does. And they're rolling out things that Apple has not been able to do. So partnering with other companies to get the S-Lady up to current standards, that's a smart move. I don't think that means they're failing overall. To me, it sounds like they're following the same strategy they did with Maps, where they rely on other companies to provide a service until they feel like the service they can offer internally is comparable or better. And that's what happened with Maps. They did stumble with that rollout, but the point is, it was a strategy that ultimately worked for them. I could see them doing the same thing here. On the other hand, maybe they are just totally screwing up with the way they're handling all of their automation and artificial intelligence products, and they need someone to come in and save them. We don't know what's going on inside.
Yeah, we don't. Jill, what do you think?
Well, I think that Jeff is right, is that Siri is the thumb that sticks out here and looks real terrible for Apple. I've not been displeased with what I've seen in Apple AI so far. It seems like it's getting better, and it's integrating, and the shortcuts and creating the shortcuts with that. It's all been good stuff. But I was in a town called Two Rivers, and I asked the S-Lady, what are the two rivers in this town? And it gave me the Two Rivers pizza place, the Two Rivers bicycle place. It was not anything I asked for. And that's the real problem, is that it's just not, it's great to turn on my light and turn off my light, but it's not good for much else. And yeah.
It's working better for you than it is for me, Jill. I can ask it to turn on like my kitchen lights, and it'll say, "Is this Jeff?" And I'll say yes, and it'll say, "You have to authenticate on your iPhone." And then I tell it to turn on the kitchen lights, and then eventually it'll just do it. Or I'll say, "Set the lights in whatever room to 50%," and it just turns off every light I have. Stuff like that all the time.
Oh boy.
Wait,
I was on my HomePod, so maybe that's why it's better. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing our cow with spacesuit overlords.
Yeah.
The biggest problem for Apple when it comes to these efforts isn't what they've done so far, it's the perception of what they haven't done so far. The fact that they spent so much time in 2024's WWDC talking about all these wonderful things that Apple's Apple Intelligence was going to do, and then utterly failed with 90% of it. Basically, it was a huge black eye for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they kept, and they kept putting these caveats in, like, well, don't worry, it's going to be here. It's going to be here before, this date and this date. No, it was 2024 and 2025. You were going to see some wonderful things. And as far as the stuff that they talked about was going to happen, wonderful things failed to occur. So this makes them look really, really bad. It's not that they haven't done some great things. It's that the public perception of what they've done so far is inadequate. And Siri, yes, the fact that it has to keep asking me, do you want me to use ChatGPT for this? It's like, just answer the effing question. And, I don't care if you call my mother-in-law and ask her, just answer the question.
Yeah.
And it's, and I'm sure it has something to do with privacy and all the rest of that, but it's like, I don't care if ChatGPT knows that I want to see there's going to be rain tomorrow where I am right now. It doesn't matter. Just answer the question, and it can't do it.
Yep.
And the word on the street is Microsoft is going to buy an AI. That's the general word on the street. So.
Right. Yep. Marty, Eric, you want anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I really think the problem with this whole discussion, not our discussion, but discussion in general, is that people keep wanting Apple to create a product it doesn't want to create. It doesn't want to be ChatGPT. It wants ChatGPT to do its thing and pay a premium to Apple for Apple using it as their outsourced question thing. I had a situation very similar to Jill's, driving through West Bank in Ohio here, and I said, "Why is it called West Bank?" asked lady, and she said, "I don't know. Do you want me to ask that to ChatGPT?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And ChatGPT figured it out and came back with the right answer for me. I think the product Apple's trying to make is a contextual based product that's focused only on data and information that you use, hence the privacy issue.
Yes.
And anything outside of that information, like why is the sky blue? I think the best thing they could do is just stop calling it the name that they're currently calling it and call it something else. But anything outside of that purview of your personal context information, they're going to outsource it. If they're going to do anything with Anthropic, they're going to just make that another wing that they can send people to, that they can make a decision where their outsourced stuff goes to. Does it go to Anthropic? Does it go to ChatGPT? Does it go to, Perplexity? I don't see, unless they come in and say, here's our code, go ahead and make it so it only works within your contextual environment. Then I could see them getting in this kind of arrangement with them. But to just buy one and gobble it up whole, I don't think that's what they want to create. That's why it's delayed. That's why we keep expecting them to make an orange, and they're making apples, not oranges.
Marty, you just hit on something that I think is super important. And it's Apple's intent for what the S Lady is supposed to be. And there is brand recognition with the S Lady name. So getting rid of that, I think, would be a mistake. Even though there's some, there's a bit of tarnish on that name. They can eventually polish that up, and it'll be fine. What I think they ought to do, and of course they haven't called me yet, is for all of the stuff that fits outside of that contextual, we're working with your data in your personal space things that the S Lady is better at. Have a second product that handles the rest of that. And that's kind of what they're doing with these deals, like with OpenAI. But if it's Apple's own thing, give it some name like the Professor. And so when you say, "Hey, S Lady, why is the town that Jill's in right now called Two Rivers?" And instead of giving you pizza places, it's S Lady comes back and says, "Oh, well, the professor tells me that it's named because of the intersection of the big wet and the short deep rivers where they intersect in the center of town, and that's why it's the Twin Rivers, or or whatever the actual answer is." And so S Lady just references Apple's other product that handles all that, which I've now dubbed the Professor. And so you get your info from the Professor. Siri doesn't ask, just handles it and feeds it back to you.
There's rumors.
Available.
I was to say there's a rumor on the street too that OpenAI is about to create its own office suite, and then it would get into the personal, your calendar, your to-do list, your all those things. So that might be the other part of it too. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on from this. Next topic. I actually, Jeff, you missed this last week, and I wanted to bring it back this week from iOS 26. They are bringing new functionality to the HomePod. I don't know if you saw this or not, Jeff, but we talked about this last week. With the launch of iOS 26 and the HomePod software 26, Apple is adding support for crossfade, an Apple Music feature that improves transitions between songs. Did you have a chance to look at this and to see what your thoughts are about this, since we couldn't get it from last week?
I do have thoughts on this. For me, I don't want my music to crossfade.
Okay.
And typically that's because when I'm sitting here listening to music on my HomePod at my desk, I'm working. And so I'm probably listening to jazz or electronica or classical genres where crossfading just doesn't work well. That said, crossfading is very popular, and there's a lot of people that really want this feature. Bringing it over from we've been able to do it on the Mac and on iOS, I believe, for a while now. So adding it in to HomePod makes sense. And good. I'm glad they're doing it. It's not a feature I will probably use. Doesn't matter. I don't do the sports things either, but I get the value in having this. So good on Apple for doing it, but they don't get as big a hug from me as they would like, because this is something they should have done a long time ago.
Okay. So we're going to go on. I just wanted to get your insights on that from us. We missed you last week. But Jill, you brought a good topic here. You said that you talk to ChatGPT in your car with CarPlay. How do you do that?
Well, if you go to iOS 26, which you lovely people talked me into, and it's been fantastic, you get the new CarPlay, and the CarPlays have widgets, and ChatGPT app has a widget. So I put the widget in there, and I clicked the line, and asked it a question, and it worked really well. So then I brought my friend in. I said, this is going to freak you out. And she's not that big into tech. So she asked it a question, and it says, and then all of a sudden she's like, no, it's saying, and this is really creepy. And then all of a sudden it answers back because she didn't know the speaker was still connected. It goes, okay, I'll clean up my language. Thank you for noticing that. And then it goes on and tells the story. And she's like, this is so freaky. So then she tries it out a little bit more. And then she has me change it to the Australian guy because that's cuter. And now she's quite pleased with it. But, it was quite the conversation, and I'm working on a GPT to interview me while I'm writing a podcast. So I would say, hey, I'm writing in a podcast about forgiveness, and then it would come back and start asking me questions until I say that's enough. It writes all the answers down. it does a summary and then it does a transcript. So I could technically write podcasts while I'm driving in my car to Macstock next week. So I think it's cool, and I'm excited. I'm going to actually find out what Two Rivers is when I'm in there. It'll tell me, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience with that. There was I do remember that the 9 to 5 Mac had talked about that, especially the widgets. So take a look at that article to see what Jill's talking about. Because you couldn't do it currently in iOS 18, but you could do it with shortcuts. But it's quite a advanced way of doing things here. So. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the news for this week. Apple satellite messaging saved a Colorado mountain climber's life. Apple's technology once again came to the rescue. In this case, the messages via satellite feature on the iPhone enabled emergency responders to reach an injured man stranded on a Colorado mountain. This was reported on the Denver News here. It was a 53-year-old man that was who injured his wrist this past weekend while descending from a climb up the Colorado's Snowmass Mountain. The man successfully reached his destination and was glissading, I guess that is, back down, and the technique involves controlled sliding when he injured his wrist. So what they did was use the emergency SOS via satellite feature to summon emergency services directly. Climber opted to send text messages to a family member using the messages, and via that satellite feature. But then perhaps his figured a mere wrist injury wasn't worth calling the cavalry. But it was his family member who notified the sheriff's office and the mountain rescue in Aspen and all volunteer rescuers. They got to him and got him down. It was 10,980 feet up on 8.3 miles from the nearest trailhead. And the dispatchers got to him, and they were there within minutes. And since this is your home state, Jeff, why? What do you think?
All right. Well, first, Snowmass is beautiful. It doesn't matter the time of year, and just beautiful mountain. So glissading, what he did was he climbed up the mountain, and even though what is today as we record, it's July 3rd. So, well, everyone's thinking, wow, it's hot. It was practically summer already when he did this. When you're in the mountains at those altitudes, there's still a lot of snow. So he could glissade, which is you slide down the snow slopes on the mountains and use your ice axe or mountain axe to arrest your slide. So I'm sure that's how his wrist got injured, because there's a way you hold the mountain axe as you're moving, and it's kind of anyhow. So it sounds to me like this person was doing everything the intelligent way, where they had the remote communication tools necessary so that if they got in a bind, they could be located. This is also why you would or you ought to have one of the GPS alert transponder things with you, so that if something happens, you can hit the button and it sends out the alert with your coordinates, and away you go. You don't even have to be able to talk or type in a situation like that, and your battery life is going to be a lot longer. That said, well done for having the right equipment to be able to get a message out to someone so that you could have a rescue with a happy ending. Not that way, Guy. And everything worked out great.
Oh, my God.
I actually have a question for Jeff.
Uh-huh.
What is the number one way to not get injured climbing a mountain?
Don't go on the mountain.
Mountain, exactly.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to add anything?
I'm just glad Jeff is okay. That's all.
Yeah, me too. Look at my wrist. It's all better now.
Yeah, but they said that they passed messages on to friends and relatives, and Jeff doesn't have any friends and relatives, so.
Oh, you're right. Can't beat them.
No, I don't. They changed it for the article. I was just texting random numbers. Hey, you don't know me, but I kind of messed up my wrist. I'm on Snowmass Mountain, and I kept getting all these messages back. Stop spamming me. Yeah, it's a wonder.
Number one question was, is this Jeff?
I know. I get that a lot.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything else before I move on? All right. Next story, F1, the Apple's biggest hit was its first weekend. It made over $55 million plus in its opening weekend. After some controversial advertising, Apple's F1 will be the company's best ever theatrical debut. After a 10 million preview and immersive trailer for the Apple Vision Pro, company's strong push to promote the new Brad Pitt movie F1, including its controversial ad from the Wallet app that we all were complaining about, positioned Apple Original Films' theatrical release to have the company's best ever opening weekend. So we know what this is all about. It's about F1, the Formula One. Brad Pitt's the star. Drew 10 million during its first U.S. Preview, and it's been playing in over 3,600 theaters. And it said this would make Apple's best theatrical opening ever, more than doubling the opening of Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon in 2023, which that was 23.2 million. And then the trailer actually of the film also took advantage of iPhone's haptics when viewing on the device, making the iPhone shake as the racing cars zoom by in the trailer. It was pretty cool. Marty, you did see it, right? What is?
Yeah, I went and saw it. I laughed, I cried, I kissed $12 goodbye. No, it was
12?
it was really good.
More.
I'm in Ohio. Come on. It was really good. I'm not an F1 fan, but I'll tell you, I'm not sure I'm going to watch F1 races after this, but there's so much technology in this movie that I didn't realize went into getting those cars to do what those cars do. That it was, even if you don't like F1, if you can't stand the look of Brad Pitt, with his smirky little face, that's what my wife says. The movie itself, just visually, is incredibly stunning. And it's like, whoa, look at that technology. So I enjoyed it a great deal. I will probably purchase it when it becomes available. And I'm hoping there will be some version that uses spatial photography on it.
But did anybody else see it?
Didn't see it. I could picture a driver saying, "Hey Siri, should I pit in this? Next time." And basically coming back saying, "Do you want me to ask Chat GPT about that?"
There is a fantastic F1 documentary. I'm not into F1 either, but I watched the documentary and the tech is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gaz is a big F1 fan. He always goes to, I think it's called Silverstone.
Yeah. In fact, I think that was featured in the movie.
You know what? Here's something. Obviously not this year, because I don't think it's been done yet. But last year when he went to Silverstone, they were actually filming parts of the movie while everybody was there. So, Gaz got to actually see the production, and from a distance of about 50 miles, he saw Brad Pitt.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Huh. Said he was dreamy.
Yeah, I would recommend, if you have any interest in technology or if you have interest in F1, definitely see the film. The plot, well, let's put it this way. It's not going to win a lot of awards for the plot. It is a Jerry Bruckheimer production after all. But it's a visually a movie that did not bore me at all.
I'm assuming the plot is vroom vroom.
Mini race.
Old guy comes back, has his own ways of doing things, challenges the status quo. He's not successful. People all get worried. Then he is successful. The young upstart guy doesn't want to listen to him because he's a hothead and he knows what he's going to do. You can figure out the rest.
Rocky.
Vroom vroom. There we go.
Yeah. All right. And the last story I want to talk about. You want to see all your see your all-time most played songs on Apple Music? Here's how. Apple celebrates its 10th anniversary with a special playlist for listeners. It's hard to believe it, but the Apple has you've been an Apple Music subscriber since its inception. You've been streaming for a full decade. It was announced one more thing in WWDC 2015. Service launched June 30th, 2015, months before iOS 9 and macOS El Capitan landed that fall. Celebrate the milestone. Apple is offering a special version of its annual replay playlist, similar to Spotify's Wrapped campaign. Replay offers a look back at the top songs, artists, and albums that defined your year, but Apple's taking it a step further, actually 10 steps further. The new Replay all-time playlist will collect your most listened to songs over the past 10 years into a handy playlist accessible in the Apple Music app. To be able to find it, you go to the Apple Music app on your iPhone, iPad, or Mac, and you can navigate to the Home tab. Apple is spotlighting the Replay all-time playlist in the top carousel. Then you can just tap it and take a listen. And the plus symbol on the right will add it to your playlists folder. Apple's also has a site devoted to the data playlist music replay, but it hasn't updated that with the 10-year stats yet. So, but this is kind of cool. And Marty, you said you got your top 10. I'm afraid to look at mine because my wife was using it to listen to Taylor Swift a lot. So it might be. That might be
I was surprised. I dropped them in the chat. I dropped screenshots of it in the chat, and I was surprised, but it kind of defines what I listen to most or what I've listened to most over the last 10 years. And it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, geez, what am I going to get? But when I pressed the button and the playlist came out in the order of what was surprising for me, frankly, but then again, I think not, because I kind of use Afro-Celt sound system, that group, to write with, to have music going. It's African and it's Celtic and it's a mixture of both. So I had that came out number 1. Bob O'Reilly came out number 2. Thunderstruck number 4.
Lots of Stones.
Yeah. And Sad, Sad, Sad by the Rolling Stones. I had some, I kind of thought, yeah, I guess I do listen to that a lot, or when I want to get into a mood, this is the song I want to listen to for certain moods. So it's kind of fun.
One of my favorite songs on this list, Marty, "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked" by Cage the Elephant.
Yeah,
that is such a great song.
I'm looking at mine. Yep, there they are, Taylor Swift songs. I did have "What Is Hip." I like that song, the Tower of Power. That's got a great rhythm to it, and some Stevie Wonder, Supertramp. I'm a big Supertramp fan. I was listening to that a lot.
Now, number 14 on my list is "Go Cubs Go," but
is it?
What can you say?
Oh yeah, there you go. Look at that.
By Steve Goodman. Yeah.
How do you get this playlist?
You go and open the Apple Music for the first time, and it'll come right up on your iPhone or on your Mac.
Just click on Home.
Just click on Home, yeah.
My list is so worthless. Like the number 1 song it's a 1-hour track that I found on Apple Music that's like a white noise sound, and I play it every night when I go to bed, and I let it. I just have it looping for a couple hours, and then after that, it's just whatever's been in Apple's own playlists that I have used over the years for background music when I'm writing. But if I go far enough down the list, oh, look at that, Vince Guaraldi. Apparently, one Vince Guaraldi song has come up in playlists a lot.
Well, that's
one
Dave
Dave
be the Christmas
Brubeck song has
Snoopy.
come up a lot of times. There's a Stan Getz song.
My number 1 was "A Hurt So Good" from John Cougar Mellencamp.
I'm ashamed to say that my list it's got so much Foo Fighters, and I don't even want to tell you. Number 1 song, "Breakout" by the Foo Fighters.
All right.
Yeah, I expected more Talking Heads in mine, but the the highest on the list was Big Blue Plymouth by David Byrne from the Catherine
Right.
Reel. And I look at the songs that are on here, and it's like, yeah, these are mood songs for me. I want to listen to this one song, and I want to use it to kind of shift my mood. So I don't listen to a lot of continuous music, like the United States most people do, but it's generally, I want to throw this on because I want to get pumped up or I'm in a particular mood. And the Catherine Wheel, David Byrne compositions are incredible.
Jill, do you have number one?
Nothing on my list has lyrics in it. It's all just whatever rando background music has been playing for the past 10 years.
Well, mine, you're going to groan. It's Amy Grant, Madonna, and Boston. Those are my top threes.
Yeah, I love Boston. My favorite band. Eric, we'll wrap up with you. What was your number one?
I have to get down to 48 before I get a song I can say. So I get Birdland.
Come on, you got to say it.
Birdland.
What's your number one?
Which recording of Birdland?
Yeah.
Ferguson, Maynard.
Okay.
It's on a playlist for coding. So it just plays in the background. And it's when I take a break, I drink more coffee right afterwards. And on that same playlist, but higher up, I get Do Virgins Taste Better, which is my number one song because it plays in the background. I don't listen to the lyrics, and evidently I get it a lot. The whole thing about what happens if you have dragons raiding your town and how do you solve the problem and physics questions and a bunch of other stuff. I think it's like a bar drinking song. I'm not really sure, but it plays in the background and it doesn't interfere with concentration.
Ooh. Talk to You Later by the Tubes.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
Completion backwards principle.
It's good. This will be fun. We'll dig through all our songs, but like I said, I got to weed through Taylor Swift. But that isn't there by my choice. So that's what happens when my wife shares my Apple Music account at the time. So before we wrap up here, let's talk about Macstock one more time here before we see each other. 1 week from today, as we record this, we are going to be all together. And Macstock 9, it's here. It's going to be July 11th, 12th, and 13th. If you want to come join us, please come join us. You still have opportunity to purchase tickets. Again, it's July 11th, 12th, 13th, and it's in Crystal Lake at the Holiday Inn there. We're going to have a great time. All of us will be there, and sadly, Guy won't be there. I'm so sad. But maybe next year. But come check us out. We have the full three full days. I'll be talking about screen capturing programs and getting some details. And we got some great speakers. Jeff's going to be there. Marty speaking. Jill is speaking. Eric's going to join us. And we're going to see Kelly Gamet and Brittany Smith, Allison Sheridan, and a number of other people here are going to be here. Brian Flanagan Arthurs will be joining us again this year, and a lot of new speakers. So come out and join us. We have an absolute blast. Ecamm's going to be there. Doc Rock's going to be joining us, talking about all the great things about what Ecamm can do. So you're going to be able to come out. We're going to try to record our podcast next week. Hopefully it'll be a week from today. Today being Thursday, it'll be a week from today on that. And as well as we're going to be probably nerding out using our Vision Pros. We're trying to get everybody to try out the Vision Pros. We'll have a room just for that. So just a good price of admission right there and be able to check it out. So, and if you want to get a discount, you can use my exclusive offer code, which is InTouch50 at checkout, and that'll save you $50 off of the full 3-day weekend price. We'd love to see you. Again, it's Macstock Conference and Expo.com. 7 days from today, we'll be talking to you next week's episode live from Macstock. So come join us. We'd love to see you and love to hang out with you. Everybody's going to be there that loves being there, and we're going to just have an absolute blast. So hope to see you. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon at In Touch with iOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. We saw Brian in the chat this week, and Witherbucket was also there. Good to see you all. And there's a number of other folks in the chat, so we always love having all those great people to join us live and hang out, and you can do that too every Thursday nights. So please join us there. And we also you can do is go to our magazine on Flipboard, which is In Touch with iOS magazine, where many of the topics are discussed when they're flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can also subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, many others. You have to just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links are there to listen to us right out there on that website. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Blue Sky, Mastodon at DaveG65. And we'll reverse it around here this week where Jeff Gamet. So glad you were able to make it back here this week. We missed you so. And I'm going to see you in person next week. Can't wait. Where can people find you?
Well, if you're smart, you will find me next week in Crystal Lake, Illinois, hanging out with all of you and Guy with you in spirit at Macstock. For the rest of you, how about Jay Gamet on social media, Mastodon, PixelFit, and Blue Sky? That's where most of my posts are going right now. Then for shows, since it's been a long time, I should probably rattle off everything I'm doing regularly so people remember and I get back in the habit of knowing what shows I'm on. Tuesdays, Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live. Here with you, Dave, on Thursdays for your show In Touch with iOS. British Tech Network, The Big Show on Thursdays, The Mac Show on Fridays. Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch. And I think that's all the shows.
You got it. Thanks for being here.
Go me.
Go you. And Jill McKinley, thank you as always for being here. Where can people find you?
Well, I have no one I do podcasts with, so it's just me. But you can find me, Jill from the Northwoods, on podcast apps, on YouTube, and the big one I do is Start with Small Steps, and that's where I'm. And you can find me at Macstock, so go find me for sure.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Marty Jencius. Thank you for being here. Where can people find you?
You can find me Jencius, Jencius, at Blue Sky and also at mastodon.social. Monday nights with Dave and Eric on Vision Profiles. And then I do some pro notes 3 nights a week, or I should say 3 mornings a week, short stories that lead us up to the next Monday night show. So look for that embedded in the feed. Tuesdays with Chuck Joyner, Thursdays here with Dave, and again, all the projects I'm involved with you can find at thepodtalk.net.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Guy Searle, for being here. We really appreciate it. And where can people find you?
Kind of hard to say right now. Can't think of an email address beyond guy at mymac.com, but there is some question over whether that is working or not. Probably for now, the best place to find me is over on Twax and Blue Sky as Mac Parrot. And hopefully, within a relatively short time, somewhere, Gaz and I will be on a podcast again.
We're hoping.
Send me something and let me know what you think. How you would like a different type of Guy and Gaz show. Wow. It'd be very dangerous.
It's going to be. All right. And last but certainly not least, Eric Bolden, thank you always for being here. We really appreciate it. Where can people find you?
Yeah, lots of fun. I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at mas.to, at EA Bolden at Blue Sky as well. Otherwise, Mondays with my Vision OS fix with Marty. Tuesdays, my macOS fix on Mac Voices, and Thursdays with my iOS iPad fixes in Touch with iOS.
Thank you so much. And thank everybody here for listening, for watching, and we really love doing this show. And we hope to see you next week. So we'll be recording live from Macstock next week, if all things go okay. And until then, thanks again for watching and listening, and we'll talk again soon.